Hey, what's going on? On this table, I have the Talaria Sting MX3 stock battery and the ChiBatterySystems Titan 60 Max. Now, in a previous video, I put both of these batteries to the test. I did a full-on range test, and that video turned out to be around 38 minutes long. So I figured I'd make this video to break down some of the highlights and things that I learned from doing that full range test. So just to break down the experiment a little bit, I rode only in sport mode. I did the exact same route. I rode on pavement and in very hilly terrain. With the stock battery, after 27 miles of riding, it was down to 10%. It kicked into some sort of safety mode where I could only go 15 miles per hour. I was able to eke out 2 to 3 more miles before I got an error 38 and the bike was completely dead. Luckily, I had a couple of buddies with me who towed me home. The route that I had planned was a 30-mile loop, and I was certain that the stock battery would make it. However, I still came up about a mile short. Some of you are probably wondering how much I weigh. I'm right around 240 pounds. I did have a friend with me on the exact same bike with the exact same stock battery, and he made it back with about 14 or 15%. I can't remember off the top of my head. So your own weight is a factor. After doing the full loop and resting for a little bit, I threw in the ChiBatterySystems Titan 60 Max, and we were back on our way. While riding the first loop, I was keeping some mental notes of where I was at with the stock battery percentage-wise. And with the ChiBatterySystems Titan, right out of the gate, I could tell that I was gonna make it no problem. Along the route, there was a significant elevation gain, and with the Titan, I could already tell I was doing just fine. I'd eaten through half my stock battery when I got to the summit on the first loop, and the summit is about the halfway point, but I was still sitting around 70% with the Titan. At that point, I knew I was gonna complete the route the second time with the Titan. The question was, how much battery percentage was I gonna have left when I got home? You can pretty much get the answer without having to do the range test experiment, but I wanted to know for sure. Basically, you just do some simple math where you divide 38 amp hours by 64 amp hours. I did round up the amp hours on the Titan just to make it a little easier. It's actually 63.75, and you're gonna find that the stock battery holds about 60% of the amp hours that the Titan holds. So it was no surprise when I rolled to my endpoint, which was my house, I was at 43%. And because I didn't run the Titan down to 0 like I did the stock battery, I can take 40% of the route that we did and assume that I could probably get around 12 more miles. I'm sure some of you are hoping that I do a full-on range test where I'd run the Titan all the way down to 0, but I feel pretty confident in my assumptions that in my area with the type of riding I do, I can get around 42 miles off of the Titan. Now that's going to vary significantly with the type of riding that you do, rider weight, and a bunch of other factors that I just didn't test. I've been riding with the Titan as my main battery this entire year so far. So let me give you a couple of observations. One observation is I noticed that I don't have the regenerative braking on my Talaria Sting MX3 that I do with the stock battery. I mentioned this observation in my full range test video, and I got a comment that probably explains why. LR7974 says the stock controller wants the CAN bus connector to the BMS to know when it should use regen when it gets under 90%. Without the CAN bus, I assume it doesn't do regen at all. I've reached out to ChiBatterySystems for confirmation of this, but I know that they're super busy in launching their Ranger 2.0 for the Super 73, which I'm hoping to get my hands on and reviewing soon. Another observation that I've made about the Titan, and it could have to do with getting kind of an early production model, is that if I drain the battery down to say 40%, and I throw it on the charger for an hour or two, it doesn't get all the way back up to 100%. When I turn on the Titan, it still reads that I'm down to that 40%. So even if I were to charge it up to 60 or 80%, I wouldn't know unless I charged it all the way up to full. Again, that could be just my battery. If you have a Titan and you've observed the same thing, let me know in the comments below. Not a huge deal. I like to start out with a full battery anyway, so I'll charge it to the top, or I'll just make a mental note and not go on a very long ride. And the final thing that I want to mention about the ChiBatterySystems Titan is if you buy it, you can get 5% off by clicking the link in my description below or using my code SESSIONS73 at checkout. Now when you get it, you're going to want to get the injection molded lid because it completes the look of the Titan. You do have to remove the stock lid. As you can see, it's quite a bit taller than the stock battery, but this lid just magnets right onto the battery. It ties in to your bike with these screw-in hinges here, and it just completes the look. I like the look that this lid adds to the battery. If you've been subscribed to the channel, you know I made my own kind of half cap lid. Then ChiBattery came out with this one, and I got it, again, injection molded. There's also some files online I've seen where you can 3D print your own as well. But I really appreciate how this complements the look of the Titan in the Talaria Sting. Well, I hope you found this video informative. If you did, you know what to do. Hit that like button, comment down below. Let me know what you think about the ChiBatterySystems Titan series. They also have some 72 volt options. And while you're down there, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Have a great rest of your day.